Welcome to another episode of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. This is February 2nd, 2022. This is Groundhog Day, 222022. And not only that, it's my wife's birthday today. So happy birthday, Lavana. I know she's not going to pay attention to this. Our client for today, we have no guests. So this should be a fun exhibition of our idiocy. Our client for today is MCU versus MC Hammer.
Behold, trapped in a hellscape of their own invention, socially unaware old white men bound by the pretense of being fake lawyers yet knowing no law, no exquisite Latin terminology, they are inexplicably compelled to quibble over minutia, squabble over triflings, and bicker like those who value their backyards far too highly without even knowing the difference between an easement and an alleyway. At this very moment, you have entered the heart of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. Let's get started.
All right, Greg, well, why don't you go ahead and bring us our fake sponsor for today, the sponsor that will not be helping us cover the expenses for our client.
Okay. Mentallo Industries, the leader in life-changing self-help systems, has developed a new Titanic release, Dynamic Hero U. Our affordable program of CDs and psychotropic drugs will turn every day into a tale of suspense and a journey into mystery. Now, when a new acquaintance inquires about your background, you can regale them with your origin story. A new job interview at the local Target? Now it's an intercompany crossover. Feel obligated to attend a social interaction? Now it's a surprise guest appearance. The mundane backstabbing of two of your coworkers in accounting? Now it's a supervillain team-up. The death of your uncle? His title's just been canceled. So let your brain unleash all of its superpowers with Dynamic Hero U. Your mental condition will be in mint condition. Mentallo Industries, with great profit comes great responsibility. That's their tagline.
So that's a university, or it's just the U?
It's like one of those self-help bullshit program things of seminars and CDs.
Is it all online?
Drugs. I don't know. No.
No, I love the idea that you take the drugs and it turns your life into a choose your own adventure story that you never knew you were a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's very clever.
Aren't our lives all choose your own adventures, though?
Yeah.
Some are more boring than others.
That's quite true. I make a lot of those choices.
I've been using the product and just hanging out with you guys. I feel like I'm on a super team.
Most of my choices involve just sitting in my chair and watching TV.
Just like Professor Charles Xavier. Right. You're the leader of the X-Men,
but without the telekinesis or telepathy.
And without it, with hair.
So, Greg, we've been doing a lot of serious topics in the last couple of months. So we wanted to find something that maybe wasn't quite so serious. So personally, since we just kind of came up with the client, they just kind of walked in our doors. I like the concept of MC Hammer actually becoming part of the MCU. I think he does deserve his own comic book, and he should be part of the MCU. But I'm curious as to what powers he would have. Would probably have to be flight, considering the nature of his pants.
Yeah, he could drop down from any height and float down on the adversary.
And then he would dance around them like a tornado type of thing.
I have a long form VHS from the 80s where he doesn't have superpowers, but he's like this kick-ass dude who fights these gangsters, and they make MC Hammer seem like he's a sledgehammer from the old show, or like some cool hero
from the old show.
Sledgehammer, but it's all the gangsters are scared of him. Like little MC Hammer comes up dancing, and they were like, "Oh, back off! We'll be good."
You said little MC Hammer, so there was a smaller version of MC Hammer?
No, he's a little guy. I meant to say. He would not scare a bunch of gangsters if they were. They'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here, Pee-wee."
Brendan has disappeared on us.
Hey, I have to ask you a question. If your birthday is on Groundhog's Day, if the groundhog doesn't see its shadow, do you get no cake for your birthday? Is that a thing?
I don't think that has anything to do with a person's birthday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think, though, what happens is you do get a cake in the shape of a groundhog, or you're forced to feed it to a groundhog. So
You're forced
you
to
have to
sleep
actually
with a groundhog.
you sleep with a groundhog.
Mhm.
Is that like a mobster thing? You're gonna
It'd be
sleep
worse
with
than it, but
dogs.
if you had to sleep with a warthog, that'd be even worse, I think. Or any kind of
Yeah.
hog, really. Harley
I
Davidson.
don't know, the right kind of hog, you know, farm raised.
Somebody hearing like bird chirping.
I think that's my stomach. Hey, tonight Vinny Goombat sleeps with the groundhogs.
All right, so we do have to do a disclaimer on the show. This is going to be a nerd out, geek out type show because we'll be talking about comic books and comic book movies. Once again, our client is MCU versus MC Hammer. And so let's just get right into like the issues that people have with let's say the Marvel Universe movies compared to the comics. Greg, you're the resident comic book geek here. What's your biggest issue between the movies and the comic books?
Well, strangely enough,
what does one do better than the other?
In my lifetime, since I was a little kid, they always fuck things up. You probably remember they'd adapt a comic book or even a novel. They'd always fuck it up. They didn't have respect for the source material. MC was pretty damn good. Sometimes I gotta say, they make the shit better than it was in the comics. The Falcon is way cooler in the movies than he ever was in the comic books. In the comic books, he just had these little wings he could fly around, weird costume, and he actually had a Falcon, Redwing, a pet Falcon who might like chirp in someone's face. Like he might chirp in Dr. Doom's face to help him out, in a fight. So he's pretty lame. But the movie made the Falcon pretty rad with that fucking armor and the wings. But I gotta say, I think they finally took the wrong turn with Shang-Chi, where it's so far from the source material that it's not. They kind of botched that one. But everything else.
And yet, that is considered one of the best of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's a fun, action-packed movie with good humor, good jokes. But still, I mean, as a fan of the comic as a kid, I'm like, guys, this is not the comic I read at all. I mean, I know it has to be different, a little different, but it's like totally.
Yeah, but you say you as a little kid, that was like 50 years ago when you were a little kid. So I guess the point is like maybe there was a time when that changed and there's like new storylines that are going on within Shang-Chi that they based the movie on.
Well, but back 50 years ago, wasn't his main opponent Peking duck?
It was actually Fu Manchu.
One hung low.
Hung far low.
So they just had to modernize it to It
was actually Fu Manchu. The Marvel Comics got the rights to the classical pulp character Fu Manchu, which is why they couldn't reprint him for so long. And that's why in the movie they give him a different. It's not Fu Manchu, but it's the same idea that he's got an evil mastermind father who wants him to rejoin and also wants to kill him if he won't. But still, so much of it's different. But all the other Marvel movies are pretty they capture the spirit of the comic. If you like the comic as a kid, you're gonna be like, yeah, they get it. They read those comics. They're not just some cigar chopping producer who's like, let's just buy the rights and shit all over it, like a lot of movies did.
That's what they actually do. They get the scripts and they literally shit on them.
Yeah, sometimes.
Is that true of Captain Marvel? I was never a Captain Marvel person, or am I?
That's the new Captain Marvel. They have changed her. He was a dude all through the 60s and 70s. And then he died of cancer because he fought a radioactive villain and he gave him cancer. And he died 2 years later.
Well, at least it wasn't smoking that brought him down.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It was like getting too close to the suns that he was flying around. Probably they gave him cancer.
I bet he regretted not smoking and having a better time. He's like, I fucking died of cancer anyway at 32. Could have had a good time.
Yeah, and yet they had in the movie Captain Marvel, they had the character name that was the original Captain Marvel.
Oh, Marvel.
Yeah,
that's a Marv-Bell.
Yes. It was kind of, when we'd see that, I would think of like those ice cream cakes.
Carvel.
Captain Carvel.
Well, it is. Everyone
Cookie Puss.
Right.
Everyone in the Cree has a hyphen name, so it's like Tasty Freeze. It's all things like that.
Dairy Queen.
Real name. Well, no, that doesn't have a hyphen. Actually, they have, when they write them down, every name is like Like you would be Bren dash Dan. Brendan.
And what would you be? Greg?
I'd be Pet Ix or Greg.
Oh, so they would just use the 2-syllable part of your name.
Yeah, I could be Greg Ori.
Ori. You would have like a choice.
What does this make us if we do this name hyphenation thing? We're bug people.
You
or
said
something?
we're the Kree?
The Kree.
I thought that the Captain
the
Marvel was like a different alien race than the Kree.
Yeah, he was the Kree, and with a K, not like the Indians.
I was going to say, aren't they Indians? I'm confused.
Or like our previous guest, Krisha Turner.
Hey, you know what? I just read this really interesting article.
There's a random callback no one understands. Krisha? Was that somebody we interviewed? I must have been sick.
No, you were there. You did that. That was where the Poopinator commercial was on. Was when she was on.
Oh, I remember the Poopinator.
Yeah, she was on it, and she had some great facial expressions for that particular one.
Was she the one in the car?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I remember.
And her name was shortened. People call her Kree as her nickname.
Speaking of appropriation, speaking of
appropriation,
Greg? I just read this really interesting article about like a PhD in like race relations. And Marvel's always been very cagey about where Wakanda is in the Black Panther universe.
Yeah.
You know? And they just said, it's some place where in Africa. But this guy nailed it down. It's like, no, it's Ethiopia. And he had all these reasons why Wakanda is probably Ethiopia. I thought it was really very nerdy, but very interesting. Because I didn't know this. Ethiopia was, other than the 5 years Italy had owned them in World War II, they were never conquered by a colonizing European force. They were like the one African region that was like, stay the fuck back, Jack.
Isn't that because no one wanted to go there, though?
That's what I figured. They had no resources. I imagine.
Although Ethiopia has some of the most immigrants to the United States, I think, of most of the African
they've taken lots of refugees. And I found out they also contribute because they want to be part of the UN so much. They're the second leading contributor to UN security forces whenever there's a conflict. It's all like Ethiopian soldiers over there.
So you're saying Wakanda is like in the heart of Ethiopia?
They're just saying, if you had to say what country is Wakanda based on, there's a lot of evidence. Dirty evidence.
Why did I think it was another planet? Am I crazy?
Wakanda?
No. Wakanda.
It's in Africa.
You didn't think it was on Earth?
No, I thought it was
like an interdimensional thing where they like cross over the border.
Yeah, like some kind of weird, like it was somewhere else because.
Did you watch a different Black Panther movie than the rest of us?
I did watch it. I fell asleep a couple of times. Wasn't a big fan. This is really, guys, really superhero movies and superhero comic books, not really my strong point. So if I ask dumb questions, I'm just one of our random listeners out there who doesn't give a shit. So that was an honest question. I literally thought Wakanda was somewhere off Earth. Like I knew he was somehow on Earth, but I thought that Wakanda was somewhere else and he, kind of did some sort of multiverse thing. But
yeah, the way it worked, at least in the movie, I don't know how it is in the comic books because I never read the comic books. I just knew of Black Panther being like a side character that would occasionally be part of the Avengers. But there is like a force field around Wakanda that you cannot penetrate from the rest of the world, and so it's like camouflaged from humanity. People don't know that it's there.
Oh, okay. So it's
but
not
they
like
have extraterrestrial technology because there was some mineral like what they make Captain America's shield out of and the Winter Soldier's arm out of that they have
in the movie.
a huge supply of in Wakanda, and they base their technology on that stuff. That's how they're.
That's what I did. That was one of the changes I really disliked about Black Panther. It's a small nerdy thing, but it's also kind of racist. Where in the comic, Wakanda was allowed to develop just because they weren't fucked with by any other powers. So, like, yeah, this country wasn't constantly enslaved by Europe. So they just developed. And in the movie, they kind of imply a couple of times that it's the vibranium mound, this giant
vibranium. That's the
this
word.
Magic element or whatever. That's what made them like it changed their brains. So it's not like, oh, Black people couldn't have done this on their own. They needed this boost from this extraterrestrial element.
Okay, but still, I mean, they were a little more than just no one fucking fucked with them advanced.
No, they were.
There was something special about them that I don't find it that big of a giant leap to assume that they were so far advanced because of something else, not just because Europe didn't conquer them.
All I know is that I really wish they had made a huge industry of vibrators out of vibranium, just because they would
vibranium vibrators. I'm telling you,
that might be too powerful.
Just for
Girl
branding
Scouts are
purposes.
downstairs.
Yeah, they might rip the clit off.
Although, do you have one of the? How was yours ripped off because of the use of one?
No, but a woman's got to be careful using the vibranium vibrator.
I think they're massagers, so anybody could use them, Greg. Not necessarily for that purpose.
Yeah, that's sort of sexist, Greg.
Yeah, you're a sexist, Greg.
It could rip my prostate.
That and your racist ideologies are unacceptable too.
What if I had one?
It could rip your prostate out.
Not if I'm careful.
That could be
painful. It's vibranium. That's shit's super powerful.
Well, I mean, if it has like the boomerang qualities that the shield has.
But wouldn't it sort of like do something to it? My prostate, make it kind of sentient, or like it could come out and I could be Prostate Boy and drop out and run around.
Your prostate would have great technological advances.
New to the MCU, Prostate Boy.
It would just fall out of my butt and run around. I would just be the shell that kept Prostate Boy alive.
So the prostate, it's like one of those horror movies where the thing comes alive and just starts scurrying across the floor.
It drops out all like Cronenberg, just so it hits the floor, like legs come out, it runs around.
You'll be like Karen Black running away from this thing.
Yes, fighting it, throwing it in the oven. No.
Or like, what was it, a Naked Lunch? Like the typewriter became a cockroach or something like that.
Yeah, another great movie.
I want to see that movie right now.
Right now. All right, see ya. Go watch it, Greg. We'll move on without you. It'll be difficult since you have.
It'll be very difficult.
You have all the information that we need.
I'm the expert. You need
supposedly one of the major criticisms people have regarding the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies is that the villains all die too quickly, and none of them have real staying power. With the exception of maybe Loki, but everything else just kind of they go really fast.
It's like Game of Thrones syndrome, where just everyone dies too quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you expect them to have a little more stake, but I guess I can see why that happens because they're movies. They're not serialized things, which is what has changed with Disney Plus, where they now have the opportunity to bring in villains for a longer period of time. I would think.
Comic books have a long tradition of nobody ever staying dead. I mean, there's the Red Skull's died 50 times in less amount of years, and then it always comes back in a surprising. Oh, I actually didn't get my prostate ripped out by that vibranium
vibrator. Was that the final way the Red Skull was perished?
That was one of the times. Yeah, but some Atlantean surgeons found him and rescued him at the last second. So there's always some bullshit. So they could bring back any of these villains, just like in comics, and say, "Oh, actually, he wasn't dead." Make up some hokum story. If he survived.
Okay, so, but see, that's in the comic books though. So in the movies, it's not really quite working that way. You think they're going to bring back Black Widow since she's dead?
Loki's died twice.
Yeah, but they have other Lokis now because of the whole Loki show.
But isn't there that one Loki though? He's still that guy.
I didn't like the Loki show.
I thought it was kind of fun.
I thought it was dumb.
I liked Owen Wilson and him, their interactions. Those scenes were gold, I thought, when they were all ribbing each other, and I liked it.
Well, Brendan, I actually have a question. So if you don't really like the comic book stuff, why do you watch the comic book stuff?
I don't.
You said you watched the Loki show, though.
I watched 2 episodes. My friend said, because I did like the WandaVision one. I thought that was clever.
Okay.
Even though I'm not a big fan of Alien Eraserhead or whatever that guy's name was.
That's his name. You got it. Nailed it.
Eraserhead.
Yeah. But I thought it was
which one was Alien or Eraserhead?
the husband.
Could it be Vision?
Oh, Vision.
Vision.
Okay.
Yes.
The title.
Yeah. Well,
Alien
Wanda.
Eraserhead coming soon to theaters near you.
Yeah.
Wanda, Alien Eraserhead.
Right. But anyway, so I asked him about the Loki when he said, "Oh, you're gonna love it," and I watched like the first 2 episodes, and I thought it was totally stupid. It felt like a bad like Monty Python skit with superheroes.
I think the first couple of episodes, they don't really delve into the storyline that much. But, I mean, considering you're not like a big fan of the superhero movies, I can see why you wouldn't be that big of a fan of that particular show either. Are there any of the Marvel movies that you actually liked?
I was a fan of most of the X-Men stuff. I was an X-Men comic book guy, and I liked the X-Men. I was never a big fan of the Avengers either in the comic books. I liked Iron Man, but that's about as far as it went. He kept me into most of them. And we got into Captain America, can't stand. Winter Soldier, even worse. Green Arrow, Archer Boy, Alien douchebag.
Oh, Green Arrow's DC Comics.
You're mixing up universe now.
Well, who's the Arrow guy? There's some
Hawkeye.
That's okay. Sorry, there's some other idiot with a bow and arrow.
Green Hawkeye.
As a superhero. I don't know. Thor was cool. I liked. I always liked when Thor was around. I thought Thor was a fun character. But
one you might like is Thor Ragnarok. It's pretty funny.
I loved that one.
That
was
one,
fantastic.
Yeah, because it's great. That guy from New Zealand who does What We Do in the Shadows directed that one. And I love it. Because the first 2 Thors are boring. They're like some of the worst MCU movies made. And then the third one, all of a sudden, it takes this left turn into high comedy. And I was glad it did because I didn't like the first 2 Thors that much. They kind of left me cold.
I can't even remember them, but Ragnarok.
Yeah, they're very forgettable. But
Yep.
Ragnarok was fun as fuck. That's just a fun all-around movie. Do you like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies? Because that's a movie
Yes.
a lot of people like those who don't like superheroes because it's just a comedy.
I like those, and they were different, and it wasn't. I get a little burnout on the the dun, 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 like Superman. Give me a break. I mean, I know we're not talking about DC, but just that kind of Captain America values, and I kind of like my superheroes a little dirty.
Well, it's interesting you brought up X-Men before because that's another controversy is the fact that X-Men is not part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As a matter of fact, MCU isn't even allowed to use the word mutant whenever they're
they own them now. They can. They bought 20th Century Fox, but they're just not using them yet.
Oh, did they? When did that happen?
3 years ago.
Really? I'm out the
So that was a contract thing, like.
Yeah. 20th Century Fox had the rights to all the X-Men affiliated characters for like 25 years. It's a pretty stupid contract. So MCU's been biding their time. Finally, they just were like, we're buying 20th Century Fox.
Yeah, that's MCU was just not allowed to use the word mutant. They weren't allowed to use the characters because the fact is that Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were Magneto's children in the comic books. And instead they got their powers a different way in the MCU because they couldn't be referred to as mutants.
And they had the rights. The Avengers had the rights. I'm sorry, MCU had the rights to Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch because they were Avengers for almost their whole career.
Right.
They were part of the X-Men, even though they were mutants.
Yeah.
So they both had shared custody.
But they couldn't even mention Magneto in the MCU movies, which was just kind of an interesting thing. But that's why it took so long for the Spider-Man to be part of it too, is because Sony Pictures owned the rights for the most part to Spider-Man, but MCU was able to work out a deal with Sony at least where they could use Spider-Man in their movies. And then recently with the I don't know if you've seen the recent Spider-Man movie or not. I don't know if I'm going to spoil anything for anybody if I bring that
No
up.
Way Home, or is that it?
I can't remember what the last one is called. They all have the word home in it, so it throws me off. There was like Homecoming and Far Away from Home and No Way Home, or yeah, it could be that. Anyway,
Johnny
the most recent
marching
Spider-Man.
home again.
That's right.
I haven't seen it. I've heard it's really good. I haven't seen the Spider-Man.
Well, if you saw the early Spider-Man movies, it definitely hits a lot of nostalgia buttons in the current Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, I saw that like William Dafoe comes back to be green bad guy, green booger. What's his name?
Yep, Green Booger.
The
Green Booger was really his what they were originally going to go with, but then they went to Green Goblin instead.
Oh, Goblin, that's right. That's right.
They gobble boogers, I think, on the side.
The Green Gobbler.
It was a turkey.
Green Booger Gobbler.
He was bitten by a radioactive turkey.
Did they have the Return of Dirt Boy? I always thought Dirt Boy was kind of cool.
Who's Dirt Boy?
The guy that was like made out of dirt.
I think it's Sandman. That's what it was.
Sandman.
Oh, yeah.
Dirt Boy, Sandman.
That was his younger days. He was Dirt Boy.
Yeah.
Earth Teen.
Earth Teen.
Then he had a bar mitzvah and he became Sandman.
Mud Toddler.
So I think the new Spider-Man movie is called Home for Dinner. That's what it's called.
Home for Dinner.
So there's a lot of issues. So one issue that Greg and I talked about a while ago, in terms of not necessarily MCU but the Marvel movies, was the fact that Wolverine in the movies is like 6'3", whereas in the comic books he's 5'3", because he's supposed to be, like an actual Wolverine, just small, but
short,
deadly.
scrappy guy.
Yeah, but instead they got a really tall, good-looking guy to play him. The other issue I had regarding the X-Men movies was the fact that Nightcrawler got so little screen time. He got like that one movie, and that was pretty much it. And I think
with 100% on Nightcrawler, one of my favorite X-Men.
Yeah, and there was a relationship between Nightcrawler and Wolverine in the comic books, which was always fun. It's like they were best friends. So they're always hanging out and like drinking beer together and telling bad jokes to each other. And that was one thing that never came across. And it could be because Bryan Singer was the guy who directed the X-Men movies, and he always seemed to be a little bit too serious and maybe couldn't quite get the humor. That is the good thing I think about the MCU movies compared to the other Marvel movies, is they have a lot more humor involved in them. They don't take themselves as seriously as some of those early.
As Dolph Lundgren's Punisher.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, no, it never bothered me as an X-Men comic book fan that he wasn't like he was, because I thought what's his face did a really good job at portraying him, and I thought
it was perfect.
Yeah, they did stuff so he didn't tower over everybody, some big giant. They shot it well, so it never distracted me. But I do agree that Nightcrawler got that one opening where he's teleporting around and like gonna go kill the president. That's probably one of the best X-Men sequences ever. I think it was so good.
It was great. I enjoyed it too. Yeah.
I read that Bryan Singer made Hugh Jackman act in a trench the whole movie. They had to have a trench that he could act in, so he seemed shorter.
A trench.
He was in a trench.
Yeah, they cut off his legs from the knees down.
That was a Monty Python.
From that point on, they just called him Stumpy. Stumpy Jackman was
Stumpy Jackman.
Stumpy Logan.
I had some other thought process I was going to go into, and that threw me off completely. Oh, but I was thinking that, why don't we recast Wolverine right now? Like, who would be a good short actor to put in the role of Wolverine?
The guy from Game of Thrones, the imp.
Peter, he's too short.
Oh. Dinklage?
He's like 4 foot tall.
Yeah, Dinklage.
That would be cool.
No, yeah, that would be cool.
That would be cool to see Peter Dinklage.
That would be a little too comedic, though.
There actually was a superhero in Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight was an X-Men spin-off Canadian super team.
Yeah.
And they had a character named Puck. Who was he was a little person, but he would kick ass. He was like stocky as fuck. He was like a square. Basically, his dimensions. He was a total square.
He was a square human.
And he could just tumble through people like there could be 20 badasses, and he would just like all punch their dicks from the low vantage point. He kicked ass, Puck.
Was that like one of the major sequences in the comic book? Is him punching the dicks
he was known as
of
dick
other
puncher.
superheroes, supervillains?
Puck the dick puncher. But I'm not making a Puck though. He was real. He looked
I was thinking, if they had done it back in the day, Danny DeVito could have been a good Wolverine.
You think? Gone a seed like Wolverine when he gets kicked out of the X-Men and becomes a drunk.
the balding Wolverine.
Yes.
Slightly paunchy Wolverine.
I went to the Portland Comic-Con 6 years ago, and there was a hobo Wolverine there. Some guy totally looked like a homeless guy, but with a Wolverine costume. And what did it say? Something like "We'll kill for food" or something on a sign. Or
he was homeless.
That was the shtick.
He said, "That's if Wolverine didn't have a job."
We'll snicked for food or something.
I like it. Homeless Wolverine. I can't think of. I'm just not really good with current actor names.
Oh, here we go. Kevin Hart would be good as Wolverine. He's 5'2".
The black guy?
Big fat guy?
He's not a big guy.
He's not a big guy, but
I'm thinking of the mall security.
Can you imagine? Hey, I'm Wolverine! No way. No, sorry. Kevin Hart.
Sorry, I didn't know Kevin Hart.
No, he's the wrong guy.
He's a comedian. You know Kevin Hart.
I think I do.
Yeah, Kevin Hart is like opposite The Rock in like every movie of the last that isn't a Fantastic Fabulous Five or whatever those dumb movies are.
The Fabulous Five?
Yeah, whatever.
What about what's his face? Will Wheaton from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
As Wolverine?
No, he was 14. I'm kidding. He wasn't short. He was just 14. I'm sure he's not that short anymore.
I was trying to find short actors on my on the internet, but my
Gary Coleman,
computers.
Tom Cruise,
Emmanuel Lewis.
He's dead.
Tom Cruise probably could have pulled off Wolverine. He's got like Hugh Jackman-esque qualities.
Too pretty boy.
He's too pretty.
Yeah, but Hugh Jackman was a pretty boy.
No,
really?
He's not pretty like him, though.
Yeah. He's
Tom's got almost a feminine handsomeness to him.
Uh-huh.
Hugh Jackman's a little more bounty.
So he's more masculine. You have more of a man crush on him, is what you're saying.
What about if we go to the?
I don't favor twinks. I'm much more into the more macho guys.
I got
like it. Good looks on a man.
Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci is Wolverine.
That would be fun. That would almost be fun as Danny DeVito.
What about if we?
Do I make you laugh? Am I funny to you?
What if the X-Men was made in like the 50s or 40s? We got Peter Lorre, Mickey Rooney.
Mickey Rooney as Wolverine.
I've read stories that Mickey Rooney behind the scenes was as not, he couldn't slash your face off with claws, but he was just as savage as Wolverine. He was a cunt, that guy. Everyone hated his guts. Working with him was a fucking nightmare.
Oh, just Davy Jones from the Monkees.
Yes.
3.
Perfect.
As Wolverine.
And a little twinkle would get in his eye right before he killed someone, slashed someone.
Hey, guys.
Or Patton Oswalt. He's 5'3".
I'm sure he wishes.
Oh, he would do it in a heartbeat.
Hey, guys, I just saw Ratatouille for the first time. Is that Patton Oswalt's voice?
Yes.
Okay,
I have no idea. That's the rat cartoon?
That's the one where the rat is a
chef.
Is a chef, and he takes over a real human by tugging on his hair. So he lives up in his hat, and he tugs his hair and makes him do stuff.
Oh, I have the perfect person for Wolverine. Glenn Danzig.
Oh, he was considered.
Was he really?
Yeah,
I didn't realize he was 5'3". I didn't realize.
Yeah, he's a small dude.
I did not know he was a tiny guy.
He's a small man, big mouth, as my new friend would say. He's got small man syndrome too at the wazoo.
Yeah.
Well,
he's a very small man.
You ever meet Glenn?
He definitely has an issue with his mother. That's
no, true. I've seen him at Comic-Cons though, just being a dick. was just being a rude.
I ran into him in L.A.
So you actually know him?
Did you pick him back up after you ran into him?
No, he was in a 7-Eleven and I walked in and he was like squirting cheese on a hot dog or some dumb shit. And I was like, oh my God, that's Glenn Danzig.
Wasn't that the name of one of his songs?
Squirting cheese on a hot dog? Yeah.
Yes.
It was a big
squirting cheese on Dracula's hot dog. So it sounds scary.
But I went
blood
over
on a hot dog.
I went over and I said, Glenn Danzig? And he goes, what do you fucking want? So yeah, he's a bit of a dick.
That was his actual
What a
response
dick.
to you.
Yeah.
What do you fucking want?
You were about to say, I'm a big fan of yours.
And I said nothing. I just wanted to know that it was you. And he goes, yeah, it is. And I'm like,
Yeah, now leave
all
me
right,
alone.
fuck you. And I left.
Hey, we've got it. We've got somebody in Russian saying something on our YouTube page right now.
I do not want your currency.
I can't even read the name because it's in Cyrillic. But this is a common thing we get sometimes. It's "Vum today" is the response. I'm like, I don't know how to respond to that. I'll say yes. Vum
How can you read today if it's in Cyrillic?
Well, no, his name is in Cyrillic,
or
her name, or its name, whatever it is in Cyrillic. But then what's written after that is "Vum today."
So just type fuck
Gone
Ukraine.
tomorrow.
No, I responded already. I said yes, "Vum today."
Vum.
Because there should be vum for everyone.
Why vum tomorrow when you can vum today?
Yeah, I agree. That's quite true. So we like went really to the halfway point. I don't think we've made any headway with this client whatsoever.
Oh, we've made a lot of headway.
Do you think so? We've actually
we've really nailed this shit down.
I'm going to start working on my Prostate Boy comic book. That's what I'm going to do.
Today, Prostate Boy. Tomorrow, the
Dirt
world.
Boy.
He's going to be
Dirt Boy versus Prostate Boy. And the green booger.
The green booger. The green booger will be Prostate Boy's ultimate bad guy.
I think the next major star of stage and screen is going to be Waspy Soda Pop. As it's time for his segment for the day. So let me get that one rolling. But yeah, I wonder what his powers could be.
Damn it, I don't have to pee right now.
Food is for eating. Food is for eating. Food is for eating.
Hey there, everybody. This is Waspy Soda Pop on another edition of Food is for Eating. I've got simple sponge cake for you today. Here are your ingredients. 4 large eggs, 1 cup of granulated sugar, 1 cup all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 2 tablespoons of melted butter, 1 tablespoon of hot water, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 4 square cleaning sponges. First, you want to whip the eggs and the sugar. You whip those eggs in a stand mixer at a high speed till they're foamy. Gradually add 1 cup of granulated sugar, 1 tablespoon at a time, while continuing to whip. Whip it until the mixture falls off the whisk in a thick ribbon and doesn't disappear for 1 or 2 seconds. Next, you want to preheat the oven to 350 degrees with the rack centered. Line an 8-inch round cake pan with foil or parchment. And spray it with some nonstick spray. You know what the spray is. You can use that. Or you can just, put some butter on the inside of the pan or dust it with some flour. Whatever. Sift 1 cup all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder twice. If you don't do it twice, you won't do it twice. Then, in a cup, you whisk together 2 tablespoons of melted butter, 1 tablespoon of hot water, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Then, you're going to add the dry ingredients. What are the dry ingredients? The ones that aren't wet. Into the whipped eggs in halves, carefully folded with a spatula, forming the number 8 with each stroke. Then, you're going to fold in the liquids. Carefully keep folding the batter until thoroughly incorporated. Finally, you're going to place your 4 cleaning sponges in your baking pan. Place them in carefully and neatly. Make sure each of the edges actually touch each other. Then you're going to pour the sponge cake batter into the prepared baking pan. You're going to bake for about 35 minutes or until you get a toothpick in there. It comes out clean. Then you're going to remove the sponge cake to a cooling rack and allow it to sit undisturbed for 5 minutes. You want to give it its space. You want to let it relax. Anyway, you want to then invert it onto a cooling grid thingy, and that'll allow the kitchen sponges to breathe because you want those to breathe. And finally, allow it to completely cool before you use them. Anyway, there you go. Simple sponge cake with real sponges. And, with sponges, just so you know, we use parts of dead animal sponges, so it's all vegan. So this is Waspy Soda Pop, and food is for eating.
Food is for eating. Food is for eating. Food is for eating with Waspy Soda Pop.
So if you want an extra crispy sponge cake, do you use this kind of sponge with the green thing on the... that kind?
Yeah, I think so. If you wanted to get the extra special, like gnawing type of a sponge cake, you
Like
use
Captain
the one
Crunch?
with the Brillo pad on the
They would rip the roof of your mouth.
You want to get one with the steel wool attached to the sponge. That's the one you want best, because that also flosses while you eat it. I think that's.
So I didn't tell you, Matt, I have a Twitter, some kind of Grinder account. I'm getting questions on my thing. It's from Portland people, and they're asking for, could Waspy please give vegan versions of his recipes?
Oh, you want vegan? Well, didn't he just say that there was something vegan? Wait a second. He said it was dead animal sponges and said that they were vegan. That I think Waspy's confused about what is vegan.
I think Waspy needs to be educated by you guys.
But I'll definitely send a message off to Waspy and say that he has requests for vegan recipes. And I'm sure
Grinder, apparently.
Yeah.
Greg's Grinder account.
That's my main social media.
Well,
there's worse ways you could spend a Friday night, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, if that's your social media, that's your social media. You should be good.
It's
with
better
it.
For your prostate.
Well, that also now
vibranium.
moves us into our next segment, which is one that also requires I share a screen. So let's get that one going. Greg, if you're ready, this is all you.
He has an opinion, may not always be right. He's a real fake lawyer. He's old and he's white. Ask him a question, 'cause he's a good egg for bogus advice. Ask Greg. Ask Greg. Ask Greg.
I have a new logo.
You have a new logo. What do you mean?
Isn't that new, the little graphic? The Ask Greg?
What are you talking about?
There's an actual logo that just showed. That's been there the whole time.
Yeah, well, that whole clip has been there the whole time.
No, I know. I never noticed that little logo.
A little more sober today, I take it.
No, I think it's because I'm always so scared to do these that I'm not even,
He's like refusing to reject the concept that he is more sober, though.
Oh no,
like,
I'm not.
No, I couldn't be more sober. That's impossible.
No,
I'm highly intoxicated.
Yes.
I started drinking with my boot this morning.
No. My audience expects it from me. I have to live up to their expectations.
So I have a question for Greg. This is if you're ready, Greg. Are you ready?
I'm stroking my chin. That's how you know I'm ready.
Okay, yes. Dear Greg, I'm being followed by black helicopters. I'm not a drug dealer, and I've never joined QAnon. Who is doing it, and what should I do to stop it? What legal recourse do I have?
Well, I don't like the racial overtones to your question in the first place. Would white helicopters would be better? It's the black helicopters scare you more than the white helicopters?
Yeah, I think so.
But I guess that's not my purview. So I think what you can do is the gray aliens. They have a website, and just go to the gray.
The gray aliens.
The gray aliens.
All right, I just wanted to make sure I heard you right. So okay,
they're in charge of the black helicopters that are, and so just inquire about cease and desisting. She doesn't deserve it. Sometimes they have to use their black helicopters to surveil. Some people, they're doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, but it sounds like this person's innocent, doesn't need the surveillance of black helicopters, so she should let the grays know.
Where
cease and desist.
Where can they find the gray aliens, Greg?
It's on their website. I think it's on Grindr.
Yeah, it's
Grindr.
Zeta Reticulin.com.
Yes. And the lizard people are also allowed on that website too.
They have a link down at the bottom. It's kind of one of those old GeoCities networking things.
Oh yeah, GeoCities. I forgot about GeoCities.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find that through your Alta Vista search engine, everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
It sounds like this person's a Karen, though, who's just like, black helicopters, black.
Well, I think it's a legitimate concern if she thinks she's being followed. If it's a she, can't really tell. They're not a drug dealer and they've never joined QAnon. So it's like, okay.
I think the QAnon people the black helicopters like them. They're like, oh, these are our foot soldiers. They're helping us.
I see.
No, the QAnon people have white helicopters, dude.
Oh, yes, you're right.
They have very, very white helicopters.
with white pilots.
Right.
They don't have any helicopters. They have like soapbox derby cars. And they just get drug around behind it like a truck.
They have soapbox derby helicopters.
Well,
They
like,
just shoot them over ramps.
Or they're like Shriner helicopters. They're tiny little helicopters that one guy can fit in.
yeah.
But they're all wearing those beanies with the little helicopter blade on top of it.
Right. It's like if the Little Rascals were in charge of the military. That's the QAnon army.
It's the Little Rascals QAnon.
They got slingshots and spud guns.
We're coming to get them. We're also reptilian. We're reptilian Little Rascals. We're going back to the He-Man Woman Haters Club.
The Little Reptilians. I love that show.
The Little Reptilians had a long history. That was it ran for 10 years back in the 1930s.
God, it was such a good show.
I love that show.
It's our gang of little reptilians. All right,
gang of reptilians.
Brenda, do you have an extra question for Greg to ask Greg?
Let me see. I did have some stuff. Dear Greg, it's been several weeks since my last letter to you. Things have not gotten better.
Uh-oh.
As you know, I'm going through a terrible divorce with my horse. She won't return my phone calls and is taken up with a donkey. I fear for the children. What should I do?
Serious question. Take your time on this one, Greg.
Well, this is heartbreaking. I mean, I feel for this guy.
Yeah.
And especially because his stepchildren will be mules. Or I believe that's the offspring of a donkey and a horse.
Yeah.
Or they'll be asses.
Both, probably.
Well, I guess legally there's nothing he can do. He's just got to grin and bear it. Sorry, dude. This horse loved a donkey more than you.
Is this your official non-legal opinion that you're giving?
There's no legal standing here. She's allowed. You can fall out of love with someone. There's no law saying you can't. But I guess the fact that he was with a horse, now he's out of legal trouble because there are laws about that. So he should be happy, at least legally. He's in a better position than he was when he was fucking a horse.
You're in a better position than when you were on a horse. Okay.
So take solace from that, at least. Take solace, sir. I'm sorry.
Take a
but it's very tragic.
I sent him a Snapchat about it. He'll get it relatively soon.
Okay, good. Well, Snapchat, that goes pretty quick.
It's like that old song, when you're in love with a beautiful pony, it's hard, It's like some donkey's
gonna in love with a beautiful pony. It's hard.
It's hard.
Oh, yeah, turn into your stepchildren will be mules. All right, well, that was another edition of Ask Greg, everybody. For those who are interested, please do send on your questions to Greg. He will give his firm, non-lawyer advice on what to do, so feel free to pass this along. By the way, for those of you who are interested, our website is www.qsblaw.org, because we are a pro bono outfit. We will give you all the non-legal fake advice you want for free, so make sure you check that out. Also, we do have merchandise. You can find that on our website as well. You can buy shirts that have our faces on it, or things you can drink out of that have our faces on it. And eventually, one day we might have other things that don't have our faces on it, and you can buy those too if you really want. We're also on all the social media. You can get us on the podcasting platforms, and basically it's all the same stuff. So yeah, and we're
also my site is on Grindr is a Daddy Sweetcock. So
he has a very, very sweet chicken that he coddles every day at home.
No, I'm talking about my penis, Matt.
Oh, I get confused sometimes. I keep thinking that you're speaking in euphemisms.
And my penis is very sweet, I've been told.
Instead, you're being very
it's like honey.
Direct. So if you're on Grindr, everybody,
I've got a honey dripper.
All right, we should get back to our client. So our client,
squeeze the lemon,
which is the MCU versus MC Hammer, but we're really just kind of getting off on criticisms having to do with the MCU. As a matter of fact, we were talking about the MCU. We were talking about the X-Men, which has nothing to do with the MCU. But one thing I find interesting is that I didn't know that Hawkeye in the comic books was deaf. I didn't know that.
That's not true.
Yeah.
I heard this.
Yeah, he was deaf in the comic books. And if you watch the show on Disney Plus, there is the beginning of that particular issue happening. It's like he's starting to go deaf. It happened because of some very loud noise or something.
I am the resident comic book expert here. Hawkeye was never portrayed as deaf.
I think that you need to remove your expert status from Hawkeye and go.
He was my main man.
Go dig a little deeper. I think that's your actual name on Grindr is Hawkeye. Or you might call it Sweet Cockeye, though.
No, I'm Cockeye.
Hawkeye the Sailor.
Hello, Sailor.
Hello.
Make sure you eat your spinach.
Are we sure that that Disney isn't just going, full bananas and just like, we don't have a disabled superhero, so we should have one? Because they could have portrayed Iron Man as the alcoholic that he was, but they didn't. They chose not to accentuate that. So they need somebody who's got a disability,
Well, let me give you my evidence for the
And
deafness.
Wheelchair Boy just never caught on.
Wheelchair Boy. Yeah, they called him Professor X instead.
Yeah, he grew up to be Professor X.
But,
he's not part of the MCU. We just established that.
Back in 1982, Clint Barton stuck a sonic arrowhead in his mouth to prevent himself from being brainwashed. And unfortunately, it demolished his eardrums and made him deaf. His hearing was later destroyed, only to be taken from him once more when the clown, I guess that's a supervillain, stabbed him in both ears with his own arrows. So,
first of all, that was obviously the story he told the 911 operator, and he stuck the thing in his mouth to prevent whatever he said. And I love that the clown, A, is a bad guy, and 2, he stuck him in both ears with his own arrows. Hawkeye is a worthless piece of shit.
He's like,
that's the moral of this story.
He called the emergency room. I stuck a sonic gerbil up my ass to fight this villain, to stop my brainwashing. I had to.
Sure you did, Mr. Hawkeye. We'll be right there. This is the 3rd time this week.
Is this Richard Gere again? Oh, it's Hawkeye. Sorry.
Oh, Hawkeye, quotey fingers, right.
Matt, all I remember is I read many Avengers where Hawkeye was appearing in the 90s and 80s. I don't remember him always saying, what? What? Could you speak up? I can't hear you, Captain America. What should we do? What is this bullshit?
I don't know. Maybe he took cues from Daredevil or something, and they found a way to get over each other's. Maybe he was like a conjoined twin with Daredevil, and one of them was the eyes for the other, and the other was the ears.
Maybe Tony Stark made him a super hearing aid.
A super hearing aid.
Super hearing aid.
Instead of a superhero.
No, I did. But
superhero aid, which would be like sidekicks. You don't really hear much about the sidekicks in the Marvel movies either.
Well, Bucky was originally he was this kid's sidekick, but they made him cooler.
Well, yeah, they turned him into the Winter Soldier in this. But in the early days of Captain America, Bucky was a sidekick. But what about the other sidekicks? Didn't
there weren't many. Marvel got away with that. In fact, that was why Spider-Man was so revolutionary, because the Martin Goodman, the head of Marvel, Stan Lee was like, "We have this teenage superhero."
You're getting really deep here, aren't you?
He's
Martin
a nerd.
Goodman.
Well, just ignore the name. Who cares? The editor, the head of the company was like, "No, teenagers are sidekicks," and he was like, "No, for once, kids would like to see themselves be the hero, not just some stupid sidekick in short pants."
Help me out here. Besides Robin, who's like a famous sidekick?
Not famous, but
Speedy. Speedy was a famous sidekick.
Green Arrow.
The Green Arrow.
Speedy.
Yeah. Then I think there was Kid Flash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Batman. Batman didn't just have Robin. There was also like Batgirl and a whole host of
Batgirl.
Bat Dog.
Yeah, that was not a sidekick.
Bat Dog. Bat Monkey.
Epstein tried to say, they were all my sidekicks. I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you guys know that Superman had a whole menagerie? He had Streaky the Super Cat, He had Comet the Super Horse, Crypto the Super Dog, and my favorite, he had Beppo the Super Monkey.
Beppo, Super Monkey.
But Batman,
but his sidekick was Jimmy Olsen, though. Wasn't his sidekick Jimmy Olsen?
Kind of, I guess, yeah. But Batman actually at one point had a Bat Hound, Ace the Bat Hound.
Yes.
And my favorite thing about it is they made a little mask for him so no one could figure out his secret identity. So nobody could be like, hey, that's that dog I know.
Hey,
who's that dog?
That's Bruce Wayne's dog.
Why does Beppo the monkey sound vaguely racist to me? Is there a reason I feel that sounds?
I think it's Italian sounding.
Maybe I think like Beppo sounds like more of an Italian. Why are you stuck on Grinder today, Greg?
No. Sorry, I said organ grinder monkey because the stereotype was Italian people would have organ grinder monkeys, so it's probably like they always had Italian names. Like,
although if you go to the Google store, you can get Organ Grinder, the app, for those of you who are interested in having relations with monkeys.
Having a sidekick.
I don't recommend it.
Gay monkeys.
Gay or otherwise.
Or straight. As long as they dance and hold a cup well for change.
Depends how you spell Grinder, though. But I guess Marvel, I guess they didn't have many. Well, X-Men was like a team of sidekicks.
Not really. They were superheroes. They were teams.
They were all Professor X's sidekicks.
I guess you could say that. He was their mentor.
But not like Batman and Robin or,
In the 40s, though, there was this obnoxious trend in the 50s because Marvel started in the 60s.
Wait a second. You said in the 40s there's an obnoxious trend in the 50s.
No, I meant to say in the 40s and 50s even.
Oh.
Every fucking superhero had a sidekick. You couldn't have a superhero without now, 4 issues later, he's going to have a little sidekick so kids can identify.
Wasn't there a comic book once that had like a Thunderbolt as like the sidekick to the actual hero who didn't really have powers? It was like Johnny Thunder and Thunderbolt or something like that.
I think I know what you're talking about. There was this
one
thing.
Johnny Thunder was an FM DJ, and he had no powers but the power to blow your mind with his music.
Wow.
And then there was
today on Johnny Thunder's Thunderbolt,
and he could stay up all night playing those sweet tunes for you and your loved one.
This one goes out to Batman.
And there should have been a superhero DJ. I guess the closest to that though was Dazzler, wasn't there? Because she could do light shows from music or something like that.
She was a disco singer, basically.
Yeah.
Who had mutant powers. She was so lame. Do you know? Oh my God! You got to look it up on the internet. There was going to be a Dazzler movie, and Casablanca Records was going to make it. Remember, Casablanca had Kiss, but they also did all the big disco hits of the late 70s. The lineup of this movie sounds so fucking rad. Like Dazzler was going to be played by Bo Derek. It was going to be directed by John Derek. Kiss were going to be the villains. All these disco famous people were going to be characters.
That sounds fantastic.
No, it sounds so bad that I wish they made it because now we could watch it and laugh.
We could watch it
and laugh at it. But they actually, it was half, through production. They had a script. And then I think they woke up one day and realized, what the fuck are we thinking?
They had a script and they said, what are we thinking?
It's retarded.
And they just,
fucking retarded.
It's retarded.
It's fucking retarded.
And they were like, let's do a movie about Beppo the monkey or Beppo or whatever it was.
Beppo sounds like another one of the Marx Brothers.
Beppo?
Yeah, there was Zeppo. But
Beppo, just to get into a comic book thing, Beppo is a character out of the TV show Legends of Tomorrow from DC. Beppo is like a giant stuffed animal that turned into a god.
What the fuck acid have you been taking, dude?
Yeah.
I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up.
I want whatever Matt has.
Yeah.
Not making it up at all. Beppo became like a possessed at one point. The stuffed animal was causing havoc, and then at some point later on in the series, it turned into like this godlike creature.
Godhood.
But it was like a 30-foot tall stuffed animal.
Was this a TV show
called Beppo? Yeah, the TV show is called Legends of Tomorrow. It's on
it's
CW.
The DC universe.
It's on the CW network. Yeah, it's DC because it has like I forget what superheroes are on it. Black Canary, I think, is on it, or White Canary. And
Racist.
God, what was the hell? I can't remember them. Kid Flash, I think, is on it.
Adam, Heat
Adam?
Wave, Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, Legends of Tomorrow. God, there was another character on it who I can't remember, but he had like fire for hair.
Firestorm.
Firestorm. He was on that in the beginning, and then he got written off the show, I think, after the first or second season.
Oh, so I wanted to tell you guys there was a reversal on the kid sidekick thing in the 40s. There was this kid called the Star Spangled Kid.
Oh yeah, wasn't he part of the Justice Society of America? Wasn't he?
Later on, but he was part of the Seven Soldiers of Victory, which was a 40s super team. But his sidekick was this full-grown man who looked like a longshoreman in a striped shirt, and his name was Stripesy.
Let me tell you, Greg, that's part of a current TV show.
Really?
Yes.
And Stripesy's in it?
Yes, Stripesy is one of the lead characters in it.
Stripesy.
It's played by Luke Wilson.
Oh. Stripesy is played by Luke. What the hell? You watch more TV than I do. What the hell network is that on?
It's actually on HBO Max.
Oh, was that a Peacemaker?
No, the show is called Stargirl. And basically, Star Spangled Kid grows up and he actually gets killed or something. And then he has like some staff or something. And
it's a cosmic rod.
The cosmic rod, which is what, certain parts of all of us is called that as well. Anyway, so then the mantle is taken up by this teenage girl who gets the cosmic rod, and
she does.
Stripesy gives it to her. He gets it good.
Stripesy is her stepfather.
Oh, I saw. Oh, of course, of course.
Yeah, you saw that on Pornhub. Anyway,
the stepfather and the cosmic rod and Stargirl. This wasn't on HBO Max.
So I just wanted Greg's nostalgia to realize that it has come to fruition that the Star Spangled Kid has gotten his day in the sun. And
I don't have nostalgia for either of them, but that's a new thing. That girl, Stargirl. I've seen her like in catalogs in the 2000s, and I was like, okay, that's a thing, but I never read them.
Well, anyway, so there's an actual show. There's an actual TV show. It's in like its second season. So you can on HBO Max.
This isn't that interesting, but I just finished Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I thought it kicked ass. I thought it was not only was it amazing action, but it has some really like powerful shit to say. Like, actually has this powerful message where I was verklempt in some of the scenes.
Oh Jesus,
verklempt, I say.
Stargirl seems like an underage girl who's barely got any clothes on.
She's in high school.
Step, Pornhub step.
Oh, and she plays the ukulele apparently.
Possible. I could be.
How hip?
I don't know.
How cool! That's what the teens are doing. I hear
they're all playing ukuleles,
and they're having cosmic rods. They're playing with cosmic rods.
This has become a foul episode today.
And hanging out with longshoremen apparently, who are their stepdads. That cool uncle
names Stripesy.
Stripesy.
I might have to do some deleting.
I'm going to call Matt Flannelly from now on. Matt's going to be Flannelly. That's my sidekick name from Matt.
I thought you were saying philately, like I collect stamps.
Oh, like you give fellatio.
A philatelist is somebody who collects stamps.
I know, but Flannelly. You're going to be Flannelly.
I think what happens is after Greg has a certain amount of booze in him, there always seems to be a point where things take a turn on the show. And they start.
Why do you blame me? Brandon is just as foul as I am when he's.
I don't know. I mean, you brought up Stargirl and the Cosmic Rod. I mean, I don't know what we were supposed to do.
And the stepfather porn.
And the stepfather. I don't know what we were supposed to do with that.
I did not bring up the Cosmic Rod. Greg did.
You said he had something, and I just clarified it for you. But you were talking about the Cosmic Rod. You just didn't know its name.
Right.
And we should have known that at some point you would bring up a cosmic rod.
You brought up the vibranium vibrator.
But that's a massager. You could use that on your back.
Sure.
So okay, Mr. Soda Pop.
I am no relation to that man at all. Anyway,
did you ever meet him?
No, not in person. It's all been like virtual.
Yeah.
Probably best.
Never met Waspy, so never spoken. No messages have been left other than the clips that have been created, where he's given his face. Supposedly, that's what he looks like, but that could just be a picture.
I wonder how Sanchez El Dorado knows so much about him. Like, were they in the military together?
They served in Nam.
I think that's a story worth investigating. Is the Sanchez El Dorado have carnal knowledge of Waspy Soda Pop?
If you're listening, Sanchez, we need the backstory. Is Waspy your sidekick?
Or your son?
Are you Waspy's sidekick?
Is that like asking if you're a top or a bottom?
I think maybe Waspy is the Star Spangled Kid to Sanchez's Stripesy.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. But who's the Star Girl?
That'd be Shanty Pants, of course.
Okay.
He's got to get in there somehow, somewhere. All right. Well, that's our shout out to our two main listeners, or at least, well, not main listeners. We have other listeners. We know you're out there. Speak up. Tell us things. Email us. The email is easy. It's qsblawoffices@gmail.com, or you can go to our Anchor page at anchor.fm. Look us up, and you can leave a message there too.
They're a stepsister podcast.
What?
They're a stepsister podcast.
Right.
Wait.
Oh, speaking of which, I think Screaming Chuy reached out to me, so one of these days I'll get him on our show as a guest. I don't know if you guys have listened to his show or not, but I have a mystery about why he's called Screaming. Does he actually scream in his show?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, I think this will wrap up our attention to this client today, which was MCU versus MC Hammer. MC Hammer star. We didn't give you more screen time, but tough. Your heyday was the late 80s, so sorry.
He has the superpower of, oh, there goes the dog.
Superpower of there goes the dog. That's MC Hammer's superpower. All right. This has been the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker.
Your consultation with the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker has ended. You may pay your retainer at www.qsblaw.org. Please exit to the right of the water cooler and grab a candy from the front desk. We hope to see you again soon, but you need to leave now. I said leave. Why don't they ever listen? Get out! Get out!